So let me tell a quick story time of my car and when I was 20 years old. Now, for context, I'm 24 years old now, turning 25 soon. So this was about 4 years ago to 5 years ago, back in 2020 to 2021. So basically, what happened was I had a basic normal car, and it was I'm pretty sure 2009 Chevy Malibu, only like $7,000. Wasn't too much. Had 60,000 miles. Really good car, honestly. However, the issue was I was paying around, I think like 320 a month, somewhere give or take around there, and I was able to afford the payments until I wasn't. And let me explain what happened. So basically, I ended up leaving my job at Target, and this was during COVID time, so I had left school, and I was doing DoorDash full time. And as you already know, DoorDash full time. I don't know how it is now with people, but I assume it's probably the same. Where sometimes the orders just really, at least for me, it got really slow. Or the orders that you did get, they weren't as much money as they were when COVID first was starting. All the tips and the money that was coming, it was really booming, and then it eventually stopped towards the end of 2020 into 2021. So therefore, my income had changed. I was making a pretty good amount of money at first when DoorDash was originally picking off, and so I thought I'd be able to do this for a bit. However, it started to slow down. The order started to go from like $10 a trip to like $3 to $6 a trip, and that changed a lot, which made me not want to dash that much anymore. Made me sit at home and do nothing and not look for another job, which caused me to eventually not pay my car. Now, eventually, I was still new in the car payment scene, didn't really know too much about it, and I had missed a payment. And next thing I know, I went outside to my apartment complex and I had realized that my car was gone. Now, at first, I thought this was my apartment complex because my apartment complex had just signed a new agreement where we need to have tags on our cars so we don't get towed. So people knew who we were getting parked. So at first, I thought it was that, but I was like, no, they didn't start this process yet. They still gave us time to get the tags and put it on our car. And then one day, I eventually just checked my car website, and it said that your car was repossessed. And so that was really changing for me because even looking back at it now when that happened, I really didn't know the after effects that it would cause on my credit report. Back then it was kind of like, all right, I can't afford the payment. I did have another car that I was sharing with my brother at the time, so it was like, all right, I don't need this car. They can do whatever they want with it, and they even tried to call me to try to like pay to get it back. And I was just like, nah, like it's whatever. I do what I gotta do because the car didn't work at the time as well too. I had to get it fixed, and I didn't have the money to fix it, so I was like, all right, y'all can take the car. It doesn't work anyway. But looking back at it now, that car had low mileage. It was a pretty cheaper car, and it was a pretty good car as well. And I definitely could have saved it, but you live and you learn. So the main part though about stuff like that is just the after effects that I'm dealing with now. So because of that, of course, the repossession ended up being on my credit score, and it's still on there right now currently. Now, granted, it's been a few years. My credit score has been able to come back up now since then. I'll be able to work on other things. However, it's still dramatically changing, everything that I'm doing. And usually repossessions and things like that get off after 7 years. So I still have to wait until about 2028 to get it removed. And I'm really excited for that because it felt like so long since that has happened. I've gotten way smarter with money, way smarter with finances and credit. And so I haven't had any mistakes like that ever since. However, I'm still having to wait 2 more years for it to get removed for my credit score to really improve and get to the next level. So I don't plan on doing anything now, importantly with my credit until I get that removed. Now, I was able to get another car eventually financed. They didn't really care too much about the repossession, but it was one of those like, a little smaller auto places that really just accept anybody. So it wasn't like, oh, like, I still got accepted. It was more like, they were going to take me regardless. So it just learned me a lot of lessons because, still dealing with something like that happened legit 5 years ago. And now still dealing with the after effects now in my older years and seeing the mistakes that I made from there. It definitely let me learn a lot about credit and just how important it is and how it was, and just also how far you can come because at that moment I didn't think I'd ever be able to recover my credit score due to that repossession on there. It felt like it was just going to be a forever thing until it got removed, but I realized like no, I was still able to fix things. I was still able to get credit cards and do the right thing. Obviously I'm not still in the greatest standing, Some people might still see me as a risk, which I'm fine with because I made the mistake. But I've learned my lesson. I've done the right things, and I still owed like $5,000 in that car. So I thought about at first, getting the goodwill removal, paying the 5,000 and just getting it off. But I realized like no, I still just had 2 years left, so I'd be better off just waiting for those 2 years to end, and then after that, we'll go ahead and uh, focus better next time, making sure to have cars that you can afford. And even if your job, if you lose your job or your job ends up making less, you're still able to afford it. And I've learned that lesson now, and that's why it's so important to me to pay off the car that I have now soon, so that way I don't have any car payments, and so I don't have to worry ever about being in repossession or any of these type of silly games that cars play. Because especially when you're door dashing, and this is for anybody who's door dashing right now, it can be good money at times, and it can help you out. The biggest problem though with door dashing is that the amount of gas that you're paying, especially now because gas is so high, can be a huge issue. And then because you're driving a lot more like city miles and you're stopping and slowing a lot, your cars tend to break down a lot faster than if you were just normally just driving your car to work, letting it sit in the parking lot for 8 hours and then getting back into it. In DoorDash, your car is on all day, every day. Like up to sometimes I was working 10 hours a day, and your car's always on. Like it's never turning off. So that can do a lot to a car. And I definitely did a lot to my car. So I've learned a lot about that too. But it definitely has changed my life, and gave me a new perspective of what to do. Of course, I wish, I didn't make that mistake. But I also know that, that's just a mistake that happened. And now I'm not afraid to talk about it because I have 2 years left for it to be removed. I know what I'm doing now with my finances and with my credit and my car payments. And I'm making sure I don't put myself in that type of situation again because, it's important to me to have a very important credit score and to not have these issues and errors on there. And just to, tell my story for anyone else who might be close to that point, in their lives. As we see now, repossession rates are going up considerably high this year and last year compared to prior years. People are struggling out in this world. And so for me, it was a big lesson, even for me to have that happen to me a few years ago compared to now. It's just a different experiment and a different place for me now. But I'm excited because once it comes off in 2 years, I already know that credit score is going to boost up. Probably, I'm thinking like 40 points if I'm being honest. But we'll see when that happens. But I'm going to say 40 points. Right now, my credit score is not too bad, though. It's like in the middle 650s. So, not terrible. But I definitely plan to get to 700, hopefully by the end of this year. And then once that car comes off in 2 years, hopefully I can get to like 740, 750. And then after that, I'm pretty chill with whatever score comes after that. I'm just going to be chilling. But yeah, I plan to never really have car payments that often anymore in my life. If I did, it'd be like because the interest rate is really low, or I'm leasing a car because I don't want to deal with the maintenance of it. Say if I wanted like a really nice car when I'm older and can afford it, I don't mind leasing it. I don't plan on ever owning a really nice luxury car, in my opinion, unless you count Tesla as luxury, but I wouldn't really count that. But like a Mercedes or something, I would definitely plan on. For me personally, I don't want to own a car like that. I'd rather just lease it for a bit, have some fun, and let it go because I don't need anything like that. But we'll see too. Maybe I grow up older and I'm like, nah, I would like to keep it, or I'm like, nah, I want nothing to do with this car. We'll see. But yeah, nah, that's really what's going on with my car. And I'm cool with my car now, making the payments, getting ready to pay it off. Hopefully in the next few months here, to have a paid off car, that'd be so important to me now. And just doing the work that I can to get it going with, so that way I don't have to worry about it no more. But we'll see though what happens. Definitely learn my lessons. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys have dealt with this before too, or if you're close to it, because I definitely want to hear some things and let me know what's going on.